21st October is Police Commemoration Day in India. That's the day when policemen who have laid down their lives in line of duty are felicitated and paid tribute to by a grateful nation. But do you know that there is a connection to that day and the standoff on the line of actual control between India and China? That's the event I'm going to concentrate on in this episode of Simply Nitin. I'm Nitin Gokhale. You may wonder what's the connection between policemen and the standoff on the line of actual control or the Himalayan frontier in Ladakh. Actually, the standoff or the beginning of the problem with China on the border began on 21st October 1959. You can in fact think of that day as the origin of the violent clashes between Indian and Chinese forces along the Chinese frontier since 1959. That day, 10 members of the Central Reserve Police Force were ambushed by a large contingent of the People's Liberation Army troops in Chengchengmo Valley near Hot Springs. This party of the CRPF was on a routine patrol from the Hot Springs outpost to try and understand the topography of the line of actual control, which was of course not known as line of actual control then. They were trying to understand the topography of Aksai Chin. The Chinese were waiting in ambush. They killed them with mortars and automatic rifles, whereas the CRPF was equipped only with the bolt action .303 rifles. The men fought back valiantly, but seeing the fact that they were outnumbered and outgunned, the leader of the contingent, DSP Karam Singh, decided to surrender to save lives of the other members of the party. They were all captured, and 5 members of the CRPF team were forced to carry a dead Chinese soldier. Of course, they also killed some Chinese in the retaliatory action. They carried the Chinese dead soldier's body, and they were taken to a nearby camp, forced to live in abysmal conditions. In fact, they were put into a pit meant for vegetable waste for nearly 3 days, and they were not given food. They were given dry bread. No water was provided. No relief for the injured was provided. And of course, October is a time when temperatures dip down below zero in Aksai Chin, which is near the Konka La or Konka Pass. The temperatures dip down to below zero, and the altitude is, remember, over 16,000 feet. These CRPF men, dressed in their normal woolen shirts and sweaters and what are called Angola shirts and normal canvas shoes, faced tremendous hardship for 3 days. They were tortured, they were interrogated, they were pressurized to give more information by the Chinese. Finally, they were released 3 or 4 days later. They came back with all the 10 dead bodies of their comrades who had fallen in that attack by the Chinese. And of course, then all hell broke loose. That is the time when the India-China relations went downhill. And that is the beginning of the border tension one can actually trace to. Since then, 21st October 1959 or 21st October is commemorated as the Police Memorial Day in memory of those 10 bravehearts who sacrificed their lives in action against the Chinese. Of course, since then, the responsibility of guarding the border has gone to the Indian Army, and also in some sectors to the Indo-Tibetan Border Police, which were formed subsequently. You will remember in one of my earlier episodes where I had shown the areas from where Indian patrol parties used to start their patrolling and go right to the extreme east of the Aksai Chin area or to the border beyond Highway G219. This is one of the things that had irked the Chinese, who felt that the Indians were trying to control Aksai Chin, which actually connects Tibet and Xinjiang, two of the most volatile provinces of China. Today, 61 years later, the situation is no different. Today, the Chinese feel threatened by India's rapid infrastructure building in Ladakh, which of course sort of takes you or leads you into Aksai Chin. The building of the DSDBO road and the feeder roads from DSDBO road towards east of the DSDBO road going into Hot Springs, Galwan, PP14, all these names that are familiar to you and to me, and of course the deployment all along the line of actual control makes the Chinese feel insecure that their highway, a vital highway, is under threat. Situation then was different in terms of facilities for the forces. It is far better today. But remember, that was the day when the first violent clash between India and China took place. It wasn't between the two armies, but it was between the People's Liberation Army, the Chinese People's Liberation Army, and the CRPF, which is Central Police Armed Force. It is not exactly army, but those valiant 10 men who sacrificed their lives are still remembered by the grateful nation. And if you go to Chanakyapuri in Delhi, there is a police memorial which has been built of late, was inaugurated about 3 or 4 years ago. That police memorial is actually built in memory of all the policemen who have sacrificed their lives, but it is celebrated or it is observed, the Memorial Day, on 21st October because of this incident that I mentioned. It was important to flag this incident because people should know that how the Chinese have consistently betrayed India, have consistently backstabbed India and Indian forces, and we have to learn lessons from there. Galwan, on the Galwan clash on June 15th this year, was the latest clash, as all of us know. But in this clash, we still don't know how many Chinese were killed. But one estimate says that 43 to 45 Chinese were killed by the gallant Indian soldiers. Of course, 20 of them were killed in action, mostly of the 16 Bihar regiment, as all of you know. But remember, the violence hasn't started today. It had started way back in 1959, and the Chinese have never kept their word. There was no reason for the CRPF party to be attacked that time. They were just policemen patrolling the area, which is rightfully India's, but has been occupied by China since 1959. That's something that all of us Indians should know, and that is why this episode. Until the next time, it's goodbye, but don't forget to like us on our social media platforms. Of course, keep sending feedback and comments, and we might have some surprises coming up for you in the next 2 or 3 weeks about what's happening across the Himalayan frontier, around the Himalayan frontier from Arunachal Pradesh to Ladakh. I'm Nitin Gokhale.